Welcome back to another Action Game Maker tutorial. Today we're going to talk about the visual script option, apply to instances. So with that said, let's get started. Alright, so here I am in the menu sample project, and this is where I'm going to showcase how I used apply to instances in that sample. And the first thing that we got to realize here is that inside this forest temple scene, if I drop open this object root node, which by the way, as of 1.0.15 or something like that, is no longer required. So if you do have object root nodes, you can still use them, of course, but you can also just take all of your things out of there and you can move them out just like that and delete the object root node and it will also still work. So if I play tested this, it would also still play on the map just like normal. So that's just a little tip if you haven't been keeping up on the update notes. All right, so before I go into how I set this up with apply to instances, let me just show you exactly what is going on in this scene here. Basically, when I grab this, it shakes the map a little bit, says that you found the staff, and then you'll see that I have zombies that spawn like this and instantly start to come to me, and then there's zombies that are just also randomly interacting like normal. And so I'm going to show you how I did both of them because they're both the actual same object. They're the same object. And so if we look over here, we can see that I have these zombie spawns. If I select them, you can see their nodes, and they're invisible because they start out with not showing anything. And you can see these nodes right here. So here is a spawner that I have, and here is a spawner also. But then these ones, I wanted to act differently. I just wanted them to spawn and act like normal zombies that kind of walk around until they see you, and then they run to you. But these ones, I wanted to run to you right from the gate. And so how I did that, having them the same object, is I used apply to instances. So now if we go to their scene here, and then we open up their script, you can see that they all start in this node right here, or in this state, I'll call it, of which type. And from here, it has a change action of itself, and then it's going to change by default, it's going to be to wait single. Now, wait single is its own little state island. The reason I call this a state island is because it links nowhere to anywhere else. So this could just be a little chunk of code or visual script that is only ran and it won't go anywhere else, basically, unless I do another change action or I change it from somewhere else. But this is just to differentiate the different kind of zombie spawns I have in this temple right here. All right. So we go back here and you can see that by default, I have it on the wait single, but I also have apply to instances selected. So how do we use it? How do we, I mean, it's saying that everyone is going to go to wait single. So how do we get to some that are the wait spawners that move towards the player right away? And how I do that is in the actual scene itself. When you check this option, what this does is on the scene that you place them in, you can now see an option. If you have one selected on the inspector, you can now see an actions list right here. And this is going to show the actions that you have selected to apply to instance. And so you can see that it's the which type state and it's this change action. This is the one that we have ticked with, again, apply to instance. So this option is what is making, if I can get back there, is what is making this option appear right here. Notice there's no other actions on this list because only this one's selected. So naturally, I can now select a new state for it to go to. And that's exactly what I do. So this zombie is right here. The gizmo is red. And then we have some other ones. If I can just scroll down here and see which ones pop up red. I'm looking for a red right here and a red right here. Okay, so this one and this one. So the last two right here, you can see that they're both right here. And if I go over here to which type, you can see that I've changed it to wait spawner instead of wait single. All right. So then what this is going to do is basically make it to where this part of the code is going to be dependent on what I set in that scene. So it's going to send those two to wait spawner, and then it's going to run this set of action states. So you can probably already see how useful a situation could be to apply instances. You could set this to for switches. So for example, you could do a change property right here. You could set an object switch, let's just say of the self right here. We'll just say one of these ones right here. And all I got to do is tick apply to instance, click on add, and now I can save it. Of course, I don't think it will go if it's saved. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't. So I don't even have to save it. You could just be experimenting. And then I can go right here and I can select which switch that is. So let's go to here and let's say, so for this zombie, I want it to change, let's just say it's invincibility switch. For this zombie, I want it to change its another switch. If I click freely movable right here, I should be able to click back on this one, and it's changing the is invincible so that you can see that they were separate. So this is how you could set a different value of variable or something like that at the start of a scene to each individual enemy. There's so much you can do with this apply to instance. So I wanted to make a video about this so that you understood that this exists, that you can have these little state island things where the same enemies are running completely different logic because of how you set the thing up, but they can share the same animation and the same logic and things like that. Another area that I wanted to show you how I use this was just simply in the village and other parts of the game. There's NPCs and there are signs. Now, if I click on the object right here, you can see that the sign is literally just an NPC, and that all I'm doing is in the visual script here at the very beginning is I'm choosing what type of an NPC it is. So you can see that I have the change action and I have the apply to instance ticked. I don't think I'm using them for any of these other things. So I am using it for the direction. So this is how I set the initial direction that I want it to face. And then this is how I set the action that I want it to be. And you can see these state that I have. I keep saying change action, but it's kind of more like changing state. So this state island is if it's an NPC that stands and talks. This is for an NPC that roams and talks. And then this is for just a stand only and there is no interaction. So this would be like a sign for the NPCs that just stand around. So like in this case, this one and this one are the stand and still. The sign is the stand and still. This chicken right here, I believe if I go to the parent or here, it's roam and talk. Yep, so this one's roaming and talking. There's another NPC in this map that roams and talks. And then you can also see this is where I'm setting the direction. So you can also set the direction right here. And you can see that I'm doing set movement distance 0. And that's so that all they're doing is just changing direction. And then you can change the direction. This one is 0 is right. And so yeah, you can see that there is just a bunch of things that you can do with this apply to instance. But this is literally how I made these cool little islands of different things with the same object. And it saves so much time as a developer. So hopefully this video was helpful. If you have any questions, you can comment below, go to the forum, Discord will get you figured out. That said, I'll see you at the next video.